Welcome back to the channel. This is Gillis TV here, and today we got another ranking video just like the off season, but this has to do with the Pacific Division for the upcoming NHL season. But before we get started, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, as we are trying to get up to 300 here on the channel. But let's get back to the video. Like I said, it's all about the Pacific Division in this video. I'll do one for the Atlantic, the Metropolitan, or Metro 1, and the Central. So today, ranking from 7 to 1 on where I think the teams will wind up, barring any moves from now, trade deadline, to the end of the season, where they're going to wind up. And it's easy. Number 7 should be probably on everyone's list. The San Jose Sharks. They just traded away their longtime defenseman Brett Burns. Kevin LeBlanc's injured. If he comes back, somehow they have to make $6 million or $4.25 million in cap space. But they also are over the cap by 200 or $2 million right now. So they got to try and get some kind of way to get Kevin LeBlanc back onto the roster when he's ready to go. Also, there's Jonah Godovich, if he's gonna sign there or not. Like, this team is gonna be bottom. I don't think, don't get me wrong, Thomas Hertl, Logan Couture, Timo Meier, Kevin LeBlanc, good players, but this team's getting old. Erik Karlsson's not who he was with the Senators. Marc-Edouard Vlasic, he's 35. You're paying him $7 million till he's roughly 38, 39 years old. That's going to take a toll. Other than that, I don't think the defense is really going to stick up for the San Jose team. Ferraro might, but Semick, Nitavara, Matt Benning, Ryan Merkley, I really don't think they could get the job done on a second, third line pairing. And for that reason and a couple other reasons, as your goalies are Capo Kakinen, who's, did really well, very well for the Minnesota Wild before getting traded. James Reimer, he's 34. He's an up and down goalie. Aiden Hill's 26. Hasn't really gotten a shot in the NHL. And that's literally why the San Jose Sharks on mine are number 7. I just don't think they can compete in this Pacific Division. They could prove me wrong. This is all about proving me wrong. But looking at the stats, looking at the lineups, I really don't think this team is going to be. They could move into 6th or 7th, but did I say 7 to 1? It's 8 to 1 now because new teams add in. So they are number 8 for me here today. Now at number 7, finally, this was a toss up between number 7 and number 6, but I'm going to put the Seattle Kraken at number 7, as they didn't have a great season last year. Everyone thought they were going to be Vegas 2.0. Didn't work out. They did go out and get Justin Schultz, who is a pretty good defenseman. They got Philip Grubauer, which they just signed again. What else do they have here? As they got Borkstrand, who's coming over from Columbus at $5.4 million. He's 27 years old. They just signed Burakovsky, just coming off that Stanley Cup, $5.5 million. They got Jordan Eberle, Jaden Schwartz, and all that. They have a decent team, but it takes more than 2 years to actually grab a team, get them to actually work together. And I just don't see Seattle going all the way. And it really depends on Grubauer too, as Seattle actually has $11.4 million tied up in 3 goalies, which it's Grubauer, Drieger, and Martin Jones. Which, okay, if one of the top two guys get hurt, Martin Jones is a okay backup, but that's money wasted there. Carson Soucy on the back end's a phenomenal defenseman. We gotta see who this William Borgen is, see how he can play for them in their top six, and can they stay healthy? Is one of the main things too. Is if they can stay healthy, there's a shot for them to move up in my standings. But as of right now, I just don't see it happening for the Seattle Kraken. Now we go to Anaheim here. Anaheim's number 6 on my list. Like I said, toss up between 7 and 6. There's actually ranking 3 to 1 could be a toss up of any three teams I picked. But you go to the Anaheim Ducks. The reason I picked them over the Seattle Kraken is they added Ryan Strome to the mix. They added John Klingberg, 1 year only. This is almost like a prove me deal. He's 30. But if you look at the four group for the Anaheim Ducks, they are relatively young. Yes, you got the veterans in Adam Henrique, who's 32, Ryan Strome's 29, Frank Vatrano's 28. But you got some RFAs next year, as in Matt Comtois is 23, Lunderstrom's 22, Troy Terry's 24. After the season he had last year, he's probably going to ask for a pay raise. Max Jones is 24. Trevor Zegras is 21. What about the phenomenal Canadian sensation that got a save and kind of went on to win the World Juniors, Mason McTavish, who is only 19 years old. He's a stud. So they got a lot of young talent on this team with this veteran of like Derek Grant is a veteran leader on this team. As they got a lot of cap space too. They also have 18 million in cap space. You look at this defense, John Klingberg, Cam Fowler, Kevin Shattenkirk, all really veteran guys in the NHL who are Cam Fowler and John Klingberg are kind of in their prime at 30 years old. Mentoring a guy like Jamie Drysdale, who's 20, who's a phenomenal defenseman. You got some other guys here in Vakanainen, who they traded for, 23 years old. Colton White's 25. Josh Mara is 24, and Simon Benoit is 23. The reason why I have Anaheim here is there's a question mark over top of John Gibson. Is he the goalie that he was back then? Or is he going to be the goalie that he can be now? Sorry about the screen. I forgot to press start there. So John Gibson's a question mark. They do have up front Jakob Silverberg, who is currently injured. And of course, John Moore was a buried penalty for them, and Corey Perry is a buyout history. But they are there because of John Klingberg, and they're young. They're still coming in the NHL. Yes, they got some veterans up front, but these young guys are going to have to learn how to play without them eventually, and I'll be excited to see that. Next up, number 5, the Vancouver Canucks. They did have an okay offseason, bringing in Mikheyev at $4.75 million over the course of the next 4 years. And I believe they brought in Curtis Lazar here. They brought over the Russian in Andrei Kuzmenko, 26 years old. They got some young talent. But with the Vancouver Canucks, what's hanging all over them right now is next year they'll have some cap space, but they need to figure out what they're doing with JT Miller. Is Connor Garland an option to get traded? They got to re-sign Bo Horvat if that's an option. And in 2 years, Elias Pettersson's a free agent. But we're looking at, or an RFA, sorry. We're looking at this year. They got Quinn Hughes on the back end, OEL, Tyler Myers, and Travis Dermott. That's a pretty good top 4. Luke Schen's a veteran back there. Kyle Burrows, never heard of the guy. Is he going to actually be... Is that third line pairing gonna be enough in the specific division, where you look at the top three teams, I'm going to say, and let's say number four, you're going to need all three of your defensive lines rolling. And I just don't think, unless Vancouver mixes those guys up into the top three, I just don't think the third line pairing will actually do anything for Vancouver against the likes of Connor McDavid, Jonathan Huberdeau, Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Fiala, all those guys. I just don't think Vancouver's D is solid enough on that third pairing. Now you also have Thatcher Demko, who, again, is 26, just getting in the NHL a few years ago. He is a good goaltender, but he's inconsistent is the problem. And you also have guys on an injured reserve as Tucker Pullman and Niels Hoglander. So right there, that's why the Vancouver Canucks are number 5 on this list. Number 4 is the Vegas Golden Knights. You just traded Pacioretty for nothing after giving a lot up for Pacioretty, which doesn't make sense. But you had to get rid of that because of contracts. You brought in Jack Eichel, who every team he's been on, well, he's been on too, but every season he's played hasn't made the playoffs. Mark Stone was injured last year. William Karlsson, Jonathan Marchessault, and Riley Smith are, well, Karlsson's 29, the other two are 31, making over $5 million apiece. You got a young kid, 25, Nicholas Waugh, who could be really good for the team. And then they got Alex Pietrangelo. Vegas has a solid defensive core. That is why they're number 4 on my list. They got a really defensive core back there with Alex Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez, Shea Theodore, Braden McNabb, Zach Whitecloud, and Ben Hutton. This defense can stop a lot of teams' first, second, third lines, no problem. Question mark hanging over the head is Thompson played a lot last year. Where's the goalies here? They don't even have Thompson on here as a goalie. So Thompson played a bit last year, was solid, but can he fill the holes of Robin Lehner and Laurent Brossoit? That's a question mark. You do have Nicholas Hague, who is a solid young D right now, and Nolan Patrick, who they hope can start being that top pick he was. But comparing to the other 3 teams I have on this list, that slots Vegas at number 4. Now, like I said, 3 to 1 is a toss-up. It can vary depending injuries, goaltending, defense, the slumps. So I'm going to say Vegas at number 3, but like I said, these top 3, you can pick whichever. I'm just starting with Vegas, and there's no bias here when I put Edmonton at 1. Like I said, this is a toss-up, flip of a coin. These 3 for sure will be the top 3 in the Pacific. Who knows what position they'll be in. But let's get back to this. LA Kings, losing Dustin Brown, went out, traded with the Minnesota Wild, got Kevin Fiala. Huge signing for them, adding on to this already pretty good offense as Anze Kopitar, Philip Deneau, Adrian Kempe, Victor Arvidsson, Alex Iafallo are the top names. Then they got a bunch of younger guys here. Rasmus Kapari, Gabriel Velarde, Elias Anderson. They're all RFAs next year. They are huge contributors to this LA Kings team. Now you look at defense. That's the problem here is the defense. You got Matt Roy, Tobias Youngfoot, Jordan Spence, Jacob Moverar, Alexander Edler, Michael Anderson, and Sean Dursey, which Anderson and Dursey are RFAs right now. and the Kings need to find out how to sign them with they only have 1.5 million in cap space. One thing could be is they got some IR right now. Drew Downey and Sean Walker are on the IR. If one of them is long term, Downey for sure, you could sign Jersey and Anderson. If Walker, you could probably only sign one. But the thing is with the LA Kings is they got $10.8 million locked up in two goalies, making it $5 million plus. They need to move one now to make room for everyone to come back. But that's just me. As like I said, these three teams are going to be top in the Pacific Division come next year. Calgary, we all know the big Kachuk trade. Monahan leaving because they signed Nazem Kadri. Gaudreau leaving, go play in Columbus first. I don't even know why he went to Columbus. I'm being really honest when I say that. Columbus everywhere. Whatever. That's besides the point here. As Jonathan Huberdeau is only making $5.9 million this year, he's going to be solid for the Calgary Flames. They got a solid up front as Kadri, Huberdeau, Andrew Mangiapane, Blake Coleman, Elias Lindholm's on a steal of a contract right now. Tyler Toffoli, he's up there. Dylan Dubé. I'm not going to say Milan Lucic because, that's Milan Lucic. But they got a solid forward line. And their defense, Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson, Chris Tanev, Zadorov, Uyghur, Klingington, and Valimaki. They got a solid, like I said, these three top teams, place them anywhere. They're going to be the top three teams in the Pacific Division this year. Maybe Vegas can sneak in there, but that's a hard maybe. And then, of course, the Edmonton Oilers rounding out the top three here, who re-signed Kane for a team-friendly deal there. Got back Brett Kulak, who is an excellent second-line defenseman. They went out, finally got a goalie that can play more than 50 games without getting hurt in Jack Campbell and can actually win more than half of his games and whatnot. So that is my rankings for the Pacific Division. Like I said, it's a toss-up between 7 and 6, Anaheim, Seattle. And these top three teams, it's going to be these top three teams this year. Unless Vegas can sort out their things, but anything Jack Eichel does, he doesn't make the playoffs, so whatnot. But that's how the video is going to end. Thank you guys so much for watching this long rant of my rankings 8-1. I did say 7-1 at the beginning. My apologies, but I'll catch you guys on the next one.